Hey everyone, and welcome to SkillCapped. In this guide, we'll be going over the best agents to main for every single rank in Valorant. There are two goals for this video. First, it will teach you some very strong picks to carry you out of the rank that you're stuck in. Second, each agent recommendation will follow some sort of skill you should be developing at that specific rank. So for example, a controller like Brimstone would represent expanding your map knowledge and strategies, whereas an agent like Sage would help you better understand how to play the second man and trade killing with your entry fragger. Alright, and for our question of the day, what role do you think is the strongest in Valorant right now? The roles being duelists, controllers, initiators, and sentinels. For me, I would have to say duelists. Due to how the amount of rank you gain or lose is dependent on your performance, I think kills are a bit too valuable right now. But I'd love to hear what you guys think. Let us know in the comment section down below. Alright, let's jump straight into it, starting with the best agent to main if you're stuck in Iron, and that is none other than Reyna. Now, I know some of you are thinking, really? Reyna? Isn't she like super hard to play and for high ranked players to just get highlights on? Well, hear me out. If you're in Iron Elo, you need to be focusing on the core mechanics of the game. These are things like crosshair placement, making sure you're peeking correctly, holding angles correctly, not moving and shooting. You get the idea. What Reyna will allow you to do is focus on these core mechanics due to her not having a ton of abilities that you'll be distracted by. At the same time, it lets you take more fights, giving you more practice out of your games. Let's say that you get one kill with Reyna. Well, you can then heal up to full and look to take the next fight, again focusing on improving your core mechanics. Alternatively, it can be getting a kill, then using your dismiss to get back to a safe place, avoid being traded by the enemy's teammate, and take the next fight from safety. Again, more practice. At the same time, her blind ability can be a very easy to use, versatile piece of utility. Unlike smoke agents where you need to learn where to actually place your smokes, for the most part, you can just throw out your blind as Reyna and then focus on the core mechanics of aiming, peeking, and movement, and you'll be good to go. It's also much easier to use than a standard flash like Phoenix or Breach, since the eye will linger in the air for a while and you can't flash yourself. This means you don't have to flash and then instantly peek. Instead, with Reyna, you can throw your blind out, take a second to focus on proper mechanics, and then execute. Overall, she's just a great agent to pick when it comes to training your core mechanics. And if all of this wasn't good enough, well, she's also one of the best carry agents for the lower ranks. This means once you do improve, you can continue to use Reyna to climb the ranks and hard carry. And before we continue with the best agent for bronze, remember, what you find here on our YouTube channel is just a taste of the hyper improvement system on our website, skillcaped.com. It's there, you'll not only find over 700 premium Valorant guides, but we also have an expanding library of live Smurf commentaries. This is a feature no one else offers, and it's by some of the top Valorant players breaking down how you too can climb out of every rank in Valorant, ranging from Iron to Diamond. All of this can be unlocked with no risk with our rank improvement guarantee, so click the link in the description below, head to skillcaped.com, and get the rank you've always wanted. Alright, so now for the bronze rank, and to be completely honest with you, bronze is quite similar to Iron. The main difference is just that players overall will have a little bit better mechanics. And it's for that reason, if you're a bronze player and still want to focus on improving your mechanics, well, just pick Reyna, as she's still a great pick. However, it wouldn't exactly be a great video if we just recommended the same agent for every single rank. And that's why for bronze, we're going to recommend Phoenix. Phoenix is basically just a slightly more complicated version of Reyna. You still get a lot of the same benefits with your self-healing, allowing you to take multiple gunfights in a row, your ultimate giving you a free life to practice taking gunfights, and your flash allowing you to push angles without the help of teammates. Basically, you have a few more abilities that keep you more versatile, but as a trade-off, it's going to require more skill to use them effectively. This will force you to start having to learn how to integrate your abilities into your core aiming and movement mechanics. This allows you to build new knowledge off of the previous knowledge that's required to get out of Iron. Phoenix is also a very well-rounded agent, meaning that he's kind of like an agent you can have for your entire Valorant career. He's pretty much good in all team compositions on all maps. He's just super well-rounded, so picking up Phoenix at this rank will give you a solid agent that you can use in a ton of different situations once you're a higher rank. Moving on to Silver. It's in Silver you'll find players starting to have decent enough mechanics. And so it's at this point you want to focus a bit more on some basic strategic elements of the game. And that's why we recommend either playing Omen or Brimstone. Both are very close in power levels at this point, have very similar requirements. Just pick whichever one you have more fun with or comes natural to you. The reason why we're recommending a controller like Omen or Brimstone at this rank is that it will force you to learn the standard smoke locations on bomb sites. This will teach you how smokes can influence what angles you need to watch, which thereby teaches you what the most important angles are on a site. By being a controller, you'll also have to slow things down and think. No more just flashing in and going for it. This will teach you how to play the second man, making sure to swing off your entry fragger and trade killing. In general, playing a controller will expand your map knowledge significantly, as you have to rely on using your smokes and utility to manipulate angles and the locations you fight to give you an advantage. It will also teach you how to interact and counter enemy smokes, for example, giving you a better sense of when pushing through a smoke is a good idea or a bad idea. It's in Silver, you'll want to begin developing a better understanding of maps, strategy, and how to interact with teammates, and a controller like Omen or Brimstone will be the fastest path to achieve that. Alright, so moving on to the Gold rank. So at this point, our previous agent recommendations should result in you having solid mechanics and a decent knowledge base of the maps and strategy. It's now in Gold, you really want to focus on learning the bomb sites in depth, and that's why we recommend playing either Killjoy or Cypher. Both agents play very similarly and are close in power levels, so go with whichever one you have more fun playing or comes more natural. By playing one of these Sentinels, it will force you to learn bomb sites inside and out. You want to research the best setups for each site on each map, which will then result in you learning how to actually defend a bomb site and the best positions to play in them. A ton of players have only ever played a duelist like Phoenix, and so on defense, they just play super aggressive, not really knowing how to actually hold a site. This is the value in learning a Sentinel, as you can't just brute force aggression. You need to lay traps and be patient and play effective spots. On top of all of this, by learning how to play a Sentinel, you'll learn how to play against them. Not only will you know the standard setups so you know what to avoid and look out for, but you'll also discover the most effective tactics enemies are using to shut you down when you play Killjoy or Cypher. This means when the roles are reversed, you'll actually be able to implement these same tactics to shut down an enemy Sentinel. And if all of this wasn't convincing enough, it will open up a new role for you to play on attack, the Lurker. The Lurker role is when you separate from your team and play passive on the opposite side of the map that's being pressured. You then wait for the defenders to rotate off or push, and then you start to creep in on the flank. Learning how to play the Lurker role effectively will give you a whole new outlook on how to approach attack. You'll realize it's not just about 5-men attacking, and that you can easily take advantage of poor rotation by players at this level. Next up, we have the Platinum rank, and players are pretty decent and quite well rounded at this level. In fact, you now have the skills to play one of Valorant's hardest agents, Sova. Here's the thing about Sova. He's hard to play, he's a bit weird, and he's unlike any other agent, but there's a reason why he's picked by nearly every single pro team on every single map. He's just essential. Now, I know when I say Sova, you're immediately thinking about crazy recon dart lineups or double shock dart insta-kill lineups, and yes, those are all great, and you definitely still want to learn some basic lineups. However, the real reason we recommend Sova at Platinum is because it forces you to think about the bigger picture. For example, you can just start out the round shooting a very basic recon dart anywhere really, and suddenly you'll realize that the simple recon dart didn't spot anyone, and what that means is you can just rotate off early and stack the other site, predicting the enemy's push there. Or hey, maybe I should push out and try to flank the attackers instead. Basically, these more advanced concepts become more straightforward and easier to execute. This then allows you to carry over this knowledge to other agents down the line. Maybe you're playing Phoenix in the exact same scenario, but instead of recon darting out, you just peek and don't spot anyone. You'll now realize you can rotate early or just push out the flank, just like you learned to do with Sova. Sova's Owl Drone is also one of the best initiating tools in the game, and is also a great way to learn how to execute on a site. For example, if you tag someone with your Owl Drone dart, well, it's not exactly like they're dead, you only just revealed them. But that can make executing an attack a lot easier for you to figure out if you know where an enemy is playing. Compare this to just having to flash in or throw smokes and flood into sight together. That can feel a lot more overwhelming and hard to figure out what you should be doing. When you reveal an enemy with Sova, it can allow you to take a second to then think of the best way to actually peek or go aggressive on that player. And finally, if you do play Sova, you'll quickly realize you have to memorize some dart lineups, and I know that doesn't sound the most fun thing in the world. However, once you've actually learned those lineups, you'll realize you probably should have been making a similar amount of effort mastering other agent abilities. Sure, before maybe you played Raze and you were just ulting and using a satchel to get some kills, but after learning Sova, you'll realize you probably should master the double satchel combo, as well as find out the best locations to double satchel and ult from. And this now leads us to our final segment, Diamond rank and higher. At this point, our previous agent recommendations should give you all the tools needed to have a solid mastery of multiple different aspects of the game. It's at this point you're going to need to pick one agent or role to stick with based on whichever agent you found the most fun or most natural to play. You then want to spend this time refining and mastering this agent while you improve at all the other aspects of Valorant. However, with that being said, there are still some agents that are considered high elo picks, basically agents that high ranked players tend to favor more than low ranked players. And there's one agent specifically that fits this role, and that's Jett. If I had to pick one agent that was the best at solo carrying and high ranked, it would have to be Jett. First off, the operator role becomes quite powerful at the higher ranks, and typically you want at least one operator on your team on defense. Not only is Jett the best at filling the operator role in the game, but she can also be a great counter operator, meaning when an enemy on defense is shutting you down with an op, Jett can counter op and look to contest that location. Jett also has one of the highest skill ceilings, meaning the more time and better you get at Jett, you will actually see significant results in your games. Compare this to an agent like Brimstone, where his skill ceiling is much lower. This means you'll eventually hit that ceiling much earlier, not have as much skill expression as you get into immortal level games. This can be a good thing and a bad thing. If you're someone who doesn't want to push themselves to constantly be improving and learning, then someone with a lower skill ceiling can benefit you, since you can master them faster, and then just look to have a more supportive, consistent type of impact in games. However, if you're someone really hard grinding the game, really putting in those hours, then you really can't go wrong with Jet, as she rewards that kind of devotion to the game with some of the best results in high-ranked games. And remember, if you want to improve, win more gunfights, and get the rank you've always wanted, then check out our hyper improvement system at skillcaped.com, link in the description below. Alright, so what do you think of our rankings? Agree with some of them, disagree with others? Let us know in the comment section below. And while you're down there, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to get more premium guides just like this one with one goal in mind, helping you become a better player. We here at SkillCapped want to thank you for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.